moved them into the right direction. In the event these people grow more evil in their strategies. And we also have, but there always has been, there's always been good guys in government, and there's very evil people. But I think even for people who are on the fence, the public assassination of Charlie Kirk moved them into the right direction. And they're becoming more and more brave people in government. So don't forget that. This person writes, Andrew is going to move the goalpost. Quote, show me a text message of you and Charlie from 2026. Yes, that's probably where we are headed. It is dark humor, but on point. Show me 2020. I show 2025. Not that one. Show me one from the last 24 months. I show not that one. 2018, 2019. What? Pick a year, any year. Like evidence of friendship. Now we're in July, apparently. July, Charlie was not happy with me. That's what Andrew says. And I don't doubt it. He wouldn't have done it. It's so true. Charlie would not have revealed the private conversation with Trump asking me to stop speaking about Brigitte. That's a fact, actually. So point to Andrew. From today's episode, Karen Jane Child writes, look into Mormon roadshows and their links between theater productions and those accused of being in the Mormon Mafia and SRA and MK Ultra. Mormons are very talented at outings on shows. I know nothing about that. I will see if I can find some time to look into that. Sounds like another rabbit hole, Mormon roadshows. Lamorpour writes, their insanity is they shouldn't be messing with arrested, battle-bun pregnant candidates. Let them lie. Let them pull their tantrums. The bigger they are, the harder they fall. Just remember, Christ gave you an army that has your back. You are so correct. And it is. It just feels like the army of truth is rising. And it's been amazing to see people who Charlie didn't know make it their full-time job to figure out what happened here. Dedicating, the time, the resources, going on the ground, getting information, passing around information, creating entire websites. Ian Carroll put together an entire website. There are so many things that you can look at and say that has been a positive. And the greatest thing is no one would have thought, least of all Charlie, that this would, like, something would bring the left and the right together, because we were all just sort of in our own pockets. I'm a conservative, you're a liberal, we can't help each other. And now we realize there's a way greater evil that we need to be focusing on. Becca writes, it's possible that along with the umpteen amount of gauze that was shoved into Charlie to stop the bleeding, that bullet fragments were also shoved in, hence why they don't match a 30-06 or Tyler's bullets. Could that be the purpose of the gloves in the door? Look, all things are possible. I would say that if you were going to do that, you could just have the medical examiner say she took something out somewhere. That'd be easier than having to actually place them. And that would be the preferred route if you're going to be that corrupt. And we do know that there was a Fed overseeing the autopsy. That's part of the problem. The Feds were involved way too early. Every police division that I've spoken to said that the Feds were sending everybody on wild goose hunts and telling them to look in buildings, and SWAT team looking in buildings that had nothing to do with anything. Like, just go search over here. And marshals being sent places that had nothing to do with anything. Dogs being sent to chase scents that had nothing to do with anything. But I guess that's just Kash Patel's DOJ or whatever. Brittany Bricks writes, the fact that the same people who asked Charlie to ask you to stop talking about Brigitte are calling you nuts for talking about his murder is nothing short of hysterical. Frenchie T ain't got nothing on the passion that you have for this. That's exactly right. If I was passionate about this story in France because of the obvious corruption at the top of people colluding to hide the story and using the force of the Feds in France to go after journalists who are just telling the truth, imagine my passion for this story, thinking in my head that this could have actually been me. I did tours, I had a contract with Charlie. You understand how this impacts to see somebody build something and to be so trusting, and to then realize that so many elements of his life were a lie, and then to realize elements of my life and my beginning in politics was a lie as well. Yeah, that's going to drive someone to be extraordinarily passionate. And it is, of course, not something that we're going to move on from because you call me nuts. I don't care about your memes. I don't care. You keep pretending that we present no evidence. It doesn't matter how much evidence we actually had a graphic for how much evidence we and stories that we exclusively broke about this. And no matter how much we have, they all say the same thing. She's just talking about her dreams. Well, thank you guys for hanging on this podcast. How many live viewers do we have right now that just are here? Apparently, I'm just telling you my dreams every night. The bigger the audience gets, they should realize that propaganda falls, because people know they're watching the show for a reason, because we have put so much work into this. And we don't do this because we need credit for doing work. We do this because God gave us this platform. And if we can pull together tips, and if people in government trust us with this sort of information because they're watching how we've done this, and then what a great honor. What a great honor to be able to serve truth. What a great honor to be able to serve Christ. I got to deal with like pastors on stage on Sundays and ripped jeans calling me crazy. Like, cool, don't care. You have no power. Get out of here. We don't recognize you. Like, who do you ordain yourself? I'm just a pastor. I'm very cool, very hip. The kids listen to me. Thumbling Grace writes, thank you, Candace. We love you. I love you guys too. This person writes, I live for the day the number one standus, Brad Parscale, gets a Lego video. I told you I met Brad very many moons ago with Charlie Kirk, who I didn't know, apparently. I wasn't friends with, but I did meet him many moons ago. And Brad and I had a friendly relationship. Obviously just being in politics or whatever, but he was definitely a very confident person, and, definitely came off as brash. Didn't believe that I was going to be anything, I will say that, but was nice anyway. Simon Webster writes, if he was going to assassinate Charlie, he'd have been on the roof prior to find his best position, workout distance, aim, ensuring others were not in the way, to chart Charlie's sitting behavior, still or animated. You know what's interesting about that? I can't wait until we find out who the Turning Point employee was who is going to testify and say that Tyler Robinson came up to him or her, because that's going to be interesting. I'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. I always wait for them to give information before I give information. And I have a hunch about who that employee is going to be. I hope my hunch is correct. because I will have a very interesting episode for you guys. As always, Jacob Morrison writes, I think when we saw that flash, that was a signal that he was in position and there's no way he has enough time to adjust his sights. Also, people have anxiety shooting deer. There was none of this. It's too quick. Sure did look like a professional. I will say that. So somebody who would, at the very least, if he's just a hunter, have a ton of trophies to show for it. He'd have antlers. He'd have maybe some buffalo from Africa. I don't know. He'd have just a lot going on there to show that he was that skilled, because I would say my husband's a darn good hunter. He's a very good hunter. And I've only gone hunting with him once in Africa, and he's not taken that shot that fast. Nor have I ever seen him do that tactical move in particular. So anyways, but what do I know? What do I know? We're just, on the internet dreaming or whatever. I think I got all of these messages. Nope. Ali writes, JFK was murdered over 60 years ago, and there are still so many unanswered questions. So why are they so mad at people for asking questions and speculating about the possibilities? By their logic, you needed hard evidence to question JFK narrative 60 years ago. Yes, of course. That's why they launched Operation Mockingbird then, and why they launched it again this time. Same exact reason. That's what these influencers are. That's Operation Mockingbird. You can't just all say the same word, the same adjective to describe the state that you are in. You are not all just like overwhelmed with evidence. You're not all submerged with evidence. That's like be a person, be an individual. This is what fails. That used to work because everything was so new. JFK was the TV president, so to speak, as technology was shifting. Good-looking president. And so that sort of a psychological operation was new upon the people, not something that they could process. This is no longer new. It's actually ironic because it was Trump that initially fractured our trust in the mainstream media. And it is for that reason that we can spot this, even though it's now reemerged and they're not the mainstream media, they're independent creators that are clearly all a part of these influenceable campaigns, all saying the same words and the same sentences meant to attack us psychologically. So you go just submit and you just say that you see the thing that's not there. A literal CIA experiment, by the way, that took place. So they, I'm mixing what fruits they had up, but they had one person who was not in on it. The other, let's say 26 people were all CIA agents, and they held up a picture of a banana and asked every agent in the room, what do you see? And the agents were all told to say apple. They only wanted to see what that last person would say. So it's clearly a banana, but they're all going apple, 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 apple. They get to that last person, and guess what he says? He says apple, even though it's actually a banana. That's what they're trying to do right now, this experiment. It's overwhelming, it's overwhelming, it's overwhelming. So you're supposed to be number 26 in the room and go, it's overwhelming. Nah, good, actually. I see a banana. Every single time I see the banana. Must be something wrong with me or something wrong with you. Anyway, we have merch available on our website.